expert. Okay, so this is primarily aimed at students in year 11, but really it's never too early to start thinking about getting yourself informed about what's going to be coming up in the next couple of years. So we had some year 8 students' parents in the IGCSE presentation the other night. It makes sense. So here we are, we're looking at the IB Diploma program, and I'm going to talk to you about all of the basic structures and requirements of this, and a little bit as well about the ACG high school diploma and how the two interact. So before we actually get into the IB diploma itself, this is I've forgotten the name when you use an image and an acronym together. Maybe there isn't a name. Maybe I'm just inventing that. To remember something. Is it called a mnemonic? It's been a long time since I studied. But anyway, this on the left here, you can see it says Brickcopter in red. But I just rearranged all of the different learner profile elements of the IB learner profile. So all of the IB learners in the primary years program, the middle years program, and the DP are supposed to be striving to be these things. And actually, the reason I put this at the front end of the presentation is that because the diploma program is a very challenging and rigorous pre-university program, you really do need to address all of these different traits and dispositions over the 2 years. You definitely need to be balanced because even though there's an awful lot of academic work going on, you need, I'm sure you've all found this out, parents as well as students, that in a time when we can't get out as much as we'd like to, being in front of a computer for vast majority of our time is not a productive and it's not a healthy way to be. So we've got to remember to be balanced. We've got to reflect on what's happened and how we can make progress. That's why that one is there, how we can make things better in all of the areas of our lives. The IB asks that we help young learners become inquirers. So always wondering why something is the way it is, not just blindly accepting a fact as a fact. You're not just taking on board information and then repeating it for an exam. You're supposed to be trying to find out how things work, how the world works, and how your education fits into the world as a real place. At the same time, we don't want to forget about, we want all of our community to be as caring as possible. And I think, especially over the last couple of years, being caring and understanding and patience are a really important part of the school experience. Knowledgeable, of course, we do need to be, we need to have a range, a breadth and a depth of information at our brain fingertips, if you like. And we need to be able to communicate that knowledge as well. It's very important that we find different ways to communicate to and express what we know and what we understand. Being open-minded when it comes to learning is always a fantastic starting position. That finds its main expressive point in the theory of knowledge, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But being open-minded to different ways of knowing things, different ways of finding things out and expressing them. Being principled, we'll talk a lot in the diploma program about academic honesty, and it is possible in most situations to cheat and get away with it. But what we like to think that we can do as living, growing human beings is to act as always as if somebody we care about is watching, and they're watching what we're doing. We want people to think as much as they possibly can without overthinking something. And we want people to be risk takers. And when we say risk takers, obviously we don't mean in a physical danger way, although there are elements of that certainly in our active lives. But what we mean is to push our learning, to push ourselves, to challenge ourselves to do new things. So that's I think it's called a mnemonic. It's a brick copter, a helicopter made of bricks, and it contains the IB learner profile. Okay, so here's the basics of the IB diploma. It's a 2-year program. Starts in August. Year 1, we start with a DP retreat, and it goes from August through to May or June. The DP retreat is usually a 2-day affair where we look at all of the basics again, but in a lot more detail than this. In year 2, we'll have final examinations, or depending on circumstances such as worldwide pandemics, portfolios of assessment work. It's holistic. Now, what do we mean by that? Well, we've already talked about when we were looking at the learner profile. We talked about it not just being about what you can learn, know, and regurgitate in an exam. There's an awful lot about the DP that stresses cross-curricular links. We want students to be talking to each other about concepts and processes that go across subjects and units of study. And TOK, theory of knowledge, is one of those places that allows that and encourages that to happen, as is the extended essay and CAS, of course, those 3 things being the core. And we want to encourage an international-minded approach. That's to do with us being open-minded individuals. We want us to think about our approaches to learning, and that's really about our sense of organization, our sense of understanding our own learning, planning for growth and planning for improvement. It's a comprehensive program, so there's many subjects, differing levels of difficulty, and we'll talk about those in a moment. It's rigorous. The higher level courses, genuinely, I've had students write to me after they've started university and explain how well the higher level courses and the standard levels prepared them for university life and university study. My own children being really good examples of that. They've often found that some university work is not as rigorous as DP work, incidentally. Time management's a big deal. You've got to be, because there's so much to do and a lot of it is challenging, you've got to get on top of time management. We stress that a lot. It's internationally recognized. It's a portable curriculum. So you can go from a DP school in Jakarta, Indonesia, you can move to Berlin in Germany, and the teachers there will understand completely what you've been studying and make sure that the transition, if you need to move schools, is as smooth as possible. Because the curricula and the approaches, the concepts, are independent of any one culture at any one time. So very dissimilar to a lot of national-based curricula. This is very international. So more of the basics. There's the student at the center of the IB, with the IB learner profile, approaches to learning and approaches to teaching, surround them and support them. Then you've got the core, you've got the theory of knowledge, you've got the extended essay, creativity, activity and service. And then we've got 6 subjects. We've got studies in language and literature. We've got individuals and societies, which are subjects such as ICGS, economics and psychology. Got mathematics. We run 2 mathematics courses at the moment. Got the arts, where we have visual arts at the moment. Sciences, we run 3 sciences at the moment, physics, chemistry and biology. And language acquisition, which is also known as language 2, where you don't necessarily look at literature, but you look at learning how the language functions. So we can study 3 of those at higher level. 240 hours of study over 2 years is what the higher level comes out as. And then 3 at standard level, and standard level is 150 hours study over the 2 years. Now, as I say that, those numbers, obviously that's in school teaching time. And I've never known any student who has achieved what they're capable of achieving with only doing 240 hours of a higher level subject. There's always more to do, as I'm sure you know. So the core, we've got the extended essay, a 4,000 word student chosen topic and subject based deep dive into a subject. It is what it says it is. It's an extended essay. It's not an original piece of research that nobody's ever done before, so don't worry about that. But it does give you as a student a great opportunity to look in detail at something that you are particularly interested in. That the extended essay choice is something that universities will definitely be looking at how you did with the extended essay. Universities in general will be very interested in seeing what you did actually. They'd be interested in reading it. Theory of knowledge, which is about how we know things, where we get our values and beliefs from. And it's about looking at the different ways that we can break down our knowledge of the world through different themes. There's 2 products that come out of the TOK course. One is an exhibition, and the other one is another essay at 1,600 words. And creativity, action, and service, those are, I'm sure what creativity means, and this is a really great tool for helping people stay balanced. So if you find yourself very much as a book learning kind of a person, then the creativity and the activity parts will help you get out of the books for a while to do something physical, to do something creative. And the service section means that you are considering what it is you give to your community as well as take. So you can see why these 3 things are at the core. They encourage balance. They encourage students to not purely and simply focus on academics at the exclusion of other kinds of learning. And obviously at the center of all of this, we try to understand how best our students learn and what their own particular and individual needs are throughout the program. Theory of knowledge, did just talk about it a little bit there. It's a course that is central to the IB philosophy, which is how do we know things? So you can see how this is related directly to inquiry. The exhibition is worth 33%. That's usually finished by the end of year 1 of DP, and the essay is completed in year 2, which is worth 67%. The exhibition is graded internally. The essay is graded externally. Extended essay, again, 4,000 words, research-driven, inquiry-based and open-ended, and supported by the extended essay coordinator, a librarian, and a subject-specific advisor. So, for example, if you've got a particular interest in the sciences and a particular interest in something related to COVID, there's an awful lot of extended essays around the world being written about COVID one way or another right now, then it may make sense, depending on your topic, to be working with your chemistry teacher and or your biology teacher. But I also know that some students this year are looking at the effects of COVID in an economic sense as well. So there's lots and lots of different ways in which we can use our school support network to help the student complete the extended essay. The extended essay, TOK and CAS are must-pass components of the diploma. If you fail any one of those, you will not be eligible for the full diploma, but we'll talk about that in a moment. There's a matrix by which I can show you what you need to achieve. Creativity, activity, and service. Again, this is very much at the heart of the diploma. One of the things that separates it out from many other national and international curricula. Again, 2 years. We're expecting you to involve yourself in creative, active, and service-based activities over 2 years. There's a CAS coordinator in our school. It's the wonderful Mr. McPhee. Students are expected to develop all the facets of the learner profile. So our brick copter at the beginning, there is a great way for students to measure their own progress. There's a CAS project where you work with others. That lasts a month minimum. It must show collaboration, initiative, and perseverance. And then you can adopt and begin a relatively large number of other service activities, action-based activities, and creative activities too. Okay, I'm going to quickly go through the groups here. Language and literature as English A. These are the subjects that we currently offer. And I must just say a little disclaimer here. You'll see an asterisk appear on some of these slides. All courses obviously will run according to numbers. They are viable or they are not according to the numbers of students we've got signing up for them. Now, of course, virtually all of them are, but in some of the subjects where you've got a few options, if we only get one student looking at taking that course, then it's not going to be likely to run. But we'll deal with how we get to that point a little bit later. So language and literature in English, this is as your first language at higher and standard level. Indonesian A, again, this is language and literature, higher and standard level, of course. And then there are some school-supported self-taught options. I don't recommend that you go into that blindly. It literally is school-supported. The school does not teach you this. This is usually as an option for a student who wants to study a second language or their home language, and we don't offer it. And it's a standard level paper only, and it's in literature. It's not language acquisition. So this is not where you're learning a language. That will come in the second group, as you'll see in a moment. Obviously, you do get support. You must find a tutor to help you with your language and to help you with understanding the requirements of the program. So that's building a book list from some prescribed titles that the IB give you. And then it's basically a literature analysis course. So obviously this is a conversation that starts with me, and those conversations will start in January, and we'll see whether or not this is going to help you in your medium to long-term plans. Group 2, language acquisition, English B. So this is not about literature. You'll deal with some aspects of literature in the course, but this is not a literature course. It's about learning and using the language. English B, HL and SL, Indonesian B, HL and SL. So the B in this slide refers to the fact that it's your second language. French ab initio. Ab initio, Latin, means beginner. So this is an absolute beginner's standard level course. Chinese Mandarin, HL and SL, and the asterisk there again means that we will run that if we have the numbers. Now there are some other options that may be available through Pomoja, for example, Spanish. These again are conversations that begin between the student and myself, and obviously if you're thinking about studying a language with an external provider like Pomoja, there will be costs associated with that. The school does not teach anything, but there is a site-based coordinator. That would be me, and I will help make sure that everything goes according to plan, that Pomoja, for example, do their job. Sufficient numbers, yes, we've talked about that. So group 3 is individuals and societies. Oh, I didn't build my slide properly there, did I? Economics, HL or SL, the world of money and money systems. information technology in a global society. That's again higher level or standard level, known as ITGS, and psychology. Oops, I beg your pardon. Let me just go back. Psychology was obviously a course that we taught through Pomoja, but now, of course, we have the wonderful Miss Datrix, so we can teach that on site, and that's higher level or standard level. Again, I apologize for not building that slide properly. And here's a lovely image to go along with the sciences. Biology, HL or SL, chemistry, HL or SL, physics, HL or SL, and design technology is in group 4 as well. The IB classed this as a science, which I can understand. I could also see it as an arts, but they decided it would be best off in the sciences. Again, HL or standard level. There are some options. Oh, sorry, I've just gone ahead of myself there. Mathematics, 2 courses at the moment. Analysis and approaches, higher level or standard level. Analysis and approaches is probably categorizable as a more pure mathematics or conceptual mathematics course, whereas applications and interpretations is probably classifiable as more practical in its orientation. But I don't want to make any more of that difference. I think that conversations would need to be had with Ms. Pickering and Ms. Hisken about that. They would do the difference a lot more justice than I can. But applications and interpretations is a relatively new course, and it replaces what used to be called maths studies. Don't go thinking that applications and interpretations is easy, because there is no such thing as an easy maths course, in my understanding. I haven't put HL or SL right now by this. Again, it depends on student numbers, whether we can run a higher level course in 2 different courses, or whether one of them will be restricted to standard level. So we'll know a little bit closer to the time. But when you get your preference forms, you'll be able to say what you would like, and then we will be able to build something from there. Group 6, the arts. It's my particular area of expertise, and one of the groups that the IBO, in my opinion, leaves to the back of the queue because, and here's the reason. So we do have visual arts, HL or SL, but in group 6, visual arts can be replaced with chemistry or an additional language subject offered via Pomoja. So if you're not an arts person at all, and you really do have your heart set on 2 sciences, for example, then that is possible. The IB have made that possible. They haven't made 2 arts subjects possible that I'm aware of, but there you go. That's the way it is right now. And again, conversations with myself about those choices, about what's possible. We, as a school, we have to be very careful about how we line our subject offerings up in terms of a timetable, because we're a relatively small school, so we can't, unfortunately, offer as many subjects as we would like to, simply because of timetabling possibilities with the number of staff that we've got. But we do our best to offer as many as we can, and I think for a relatively small school, we do offer a lot of subjects, actually. Okay, assessment, what does that look like? So all of the courses include a combination of internal assessed work and an externally moderated exam, unless, of course, like the last 2 years, we have to send in assessed work for moderation. All internally assessed work, that's work assessed by teachers, is moderated, by the way, by an IB appointed moderator. We don't know who they are, where they are, so that tells you about the attitude towards impartiality. I've gone down to 3 for some reason. Extended essay and TOK are graded on a letter scale, A through E and N, no grade. I talked earlier about a matrix that will show you how you get extra points from the core, or we'll get to that in a moment. Courses are graded 1 to 7 on a criterion reference scale. So you are measured against criteria. You are not ranked in a class. You're not compared to another student in the class. You are ranked, you are graded against criterion that are for your subject and for each different component of your subject. And the DP points matrix results in 3 possible extra points, bringing a maximum DP score of 45. So you've got your 6 subjects, each one with a maximum of 7, which takes you to 42. Maths, maybe it is a strong point of mine after all. And then your 3 points for the core. So here's the famed Matrix. Just on an aside, the new Matrix movie is coming out soon, interestingly enough, but that's got no relationship to this whatsoever. So the extended essay, if you look here down on the left, you see grade A all the way down to the very sad situation of no grade. Theory of knowledge across the top, A all the way to N on the right. And then you can see that if you get a 3 for each theory of, sorry, an A for theory of knowledge and an A for the extended essay, you'll get the much fabled 3 points. But down here, if you're starting to get D's in theory of knowledge and extended essay, you're running the risk of getting 0 points. Now, although 0 is not a failing condition, obviously these 3 extra points might make the difference between that university that you really, really do want to go to and one that, okay, no problem, I'll go there. This is why you've got to pay attention to the core. Extended essay and theory of knowledge and CAS should actually be fun because you get quite a lot of choice in the way these things are made up and the things that you do within them. So there's no reason, I don't think, why anybody who's capable of passing the diploma could not get 3 points for the core. I think it's possible. Okay, let's have a look at these are your, this is how you get your diploma. So your CAS requirements must be met. 24 points or more must be attained. So if you get less than 24 points at the end of 2 years, you cannot be awarded your diploma. You might get some of your certificates for each of the courses, but you won't get the full diploma. If you don't meet your CAS requirements, then you won't get your diploma. You've got to get a grade above N for theory of knowledge, extended essay, and the contributing subjects. You cannot get N's in anything. It's a failing condition. And a grade higher than an E has to be earned for both theory of knowledge and the extended essay. All subject grades are higher than 1. You can't get 1s. A grade of 3 or more has to be awarded at least 4 times. Now, don't worry about remembering all of this. This whole presentation as a PowerPoint or a PDF will be in the usual Dropbox where you know where Scepter puts everything where you can normally access these things. And I'm sure there'll be an email going out with a reminder if you don't know already where the Dropbox is. So you can go and consult this. Then, of course, you can ask me any questions that you've got. So a grade of 3 or more must be awarded at least 4 times in your subjects. A grade of 4 or more has been awarded at least 3 times. You can tell that the IB don't want to make this easy. They want to keep a certain element of exclusivity about the diploma. For HL subjects, 12 points or more must be attained. And for SL subjects, 9 points or more must have been attained. So you can see that there, if you do get the minimum 12 points for HL, 9 points for standard level, that gives you 21. So you would need to get you 3 points for CAS there in order to get you, CAS, TOK, and extended essay in order to get your diploma. Now you can get a bilingual diploma, and I've never been asked, but I'm surprised I haven't been asked why would I want a bilingual diploma? And so I did a bit of research on that. It's actually good preparation for learning language at university, because learning more languages, as long as you're doing it properly, can help you achieve more at studying languages. Then, of course, there's the attraction that adds to your CV if you're applying for a course. The university of your choice knows that you're serious if you're looking at a bilingual diploma. And the way you get it, a completion of 2 languages selected from studies in language and literature subject group with the award of a 3 or higher in both languages. So that's 2 language and literature. One of the subjects, completion of one of the subjects from the individuals and societies or science groups is in a language that's not the same as the candidate's nominated study in language and literature. The candidate must attain a grade 3 or higher in both the studies in language and literature and the subject for individuals and societies or sciences. All of these point to the students' serious approach to learning in languages other than their nominated language A. Okay, excuse me, my throat, and I haven't got myself a nice little drink of tea or coffee, but I should have done. My throat's a bit dry. So the ACG High School Diploma, important that we do understand that between years 10 and 13, there are certain requirements that must be met in order for all students to be awarded the ACG High School Diploma. What that means is you can only graduate from ACG if you do the following things. Now, this is separate from the IB diploma. The work is not separate work, but we have our own graduation requirements in terms of grades across subjects. So it's very important that you understand in order to leave ACG with your ACG High School Diploma that you have to do the following things. It's very important as well if you want to go and study in the United States of America, because all of the universities there demand that you graduate from a high school. In fact, virtually every university in the world will demand that you are a high school graduate. So it begins in year 10, and every year in year 10, every semester, credits are awarded for successful completion of a full year's course. So 1 credit for a full year, half a credit for a semester. And passing, a successful completion is a 2 in diploma grades, or an F in year 10 and 11, that's the IGCSE letter grade, or higher in order to get your credit. It's vital that you get your 24 points in the manner illustrated. So it's not just a number of points, it's actually in a particular organization and spread. So I'll move on from the pie chart and just show you it like this. Your first language, over 4 years, you've got to get 4 credits. So that's half a credit every semester, year 10, year 11, year 12, and year 13. You can't fail at your first language. You've got to get an F minimum. Nobody wants an F and nobody wants a 2, but that's the safety net. Mathematics, 3 credits over the 4 years. Second language, 3 credits over the 4 years. Sciences, 3 credits over the 4 years. Social sciences, 3 credits over the 4 years. These are your compulsory subjects. You've got to take them. Optional subjects. You can get 8 credits from all of these different ways. Physical education between 1 and 4. And we say between 1 and 4 because physical ed is not available in years 12 and 13. And the arts, people choose different things. So we've got to allow between the minimum and the maximum. Design tech between 1 and 4. Sorry, I beg your pardon. That is an error, the technology one there. Sorry, I beg your pardon. Theory of knowledge, 1 to 2 credits, because that is only available in year 12 and 13. Again, a research paper or extended essay. Now, the research paper is there if you are not a diploma candidate. If you do not want the full diploma, you just want to do courses, then we can set you up with a research paper. It's called the Eureka Project, and I designed that over a year ago now, and it replaces the extended essay. So you wouldn't do the extended essay if you didn't want the full diploma. And CAS or community service, that's what we call CAS in year 10 and 11, between 1 and 2 credits. Okay, so we're looking at a timeline now. Some of these dates might change, but the 8th of December, that's today, that's now what we're doing now. 3rd of January to the 7th of January, there'll be a refresher. I'm going to present to students in advisory, and I'm going to be making sure that preference forms go out. They're called preference forms, not choice forms, because you are making your preference known, and this will help us understand what we can practically run as a course. So it's not a choice right now. I don't want you to think that if you write down everything that you want, that you're definitely going to get it. So anyway, sometimes we might have a conversation in January, and then you've decided that actually you made the wrong choice. So you want to be an architect, so really you should have chosen design technology or visual arts, things like that. Those conversations can lead to some very interesting discussions after you've returned your first round preferences. And then subject preference form comes back in again after what's called round 2. You've had a rethink. I mean, by then, normally we've got everything sorted, and we know why we're making the choices we're making. We've had a conversation with our teachers. We talked to mum and dad about university or not. We've talked to Mr. Todd about what kind of courses, where they should go. We've been in Unifrog as if it's going out of style. We know all about which country we want to apply to. And then we're ready for some mock examinations in March. April, that happens in year 11 before you take your actual exams in April to early June. We confirm the IB diploma subjects, and you sign your forms at that point in April. Then mid-August, when you come back to school to start the DP, that's usually around about the time of Cambridge Results Day, available online. If we need to change some course levels, if you realize that really you chose standard level visual arts, but you should be doing higher level, and you want to drop one of the other ones down to standard, then we would make some course level choice changes in usually the first 2 to 3 weeks. You don't want to be missing any course content beyond 2 or 3 weeks. Classes begin early August with the DP retreat. Dates for that are yet to be determined. And then on the actual presentation document that you'll be able to download, you can click these links. Literally, YouTube can be one of your best friends to learn about the DP in more depth than we're going into now. This is the basics, because it's as you should have been able to tell from this presentation, it's not a small undertaking, the diploma. It's got lots of moving parts. It demands your full attention. It demands that you take it very seriously. So getting ahead of the game is a very good idea. So if you're here tonight as a student, then I've already made a mental note. Elena, I saw your name first up, but I think I saw David as well. You're taking this seriously, and that's good. You should take it seriously because these choices affect you more than they affect anybody else. Now I'm going to stop sharing now, and I'm going to open the floor to any Q&A that you might have. But just before we do that, please understand that even though you've got to know that the DP is a major undertaking, it's not easy. It is doable, it is achievable, and you have a great selection of human adult resources. So that's us, that's your parents, that's people in the ACG and Inspired Network who can help you. We have alumni who can help you. We have university admissions officers who can help you talk about courses. We've got Unifrog. We've got a good support network for you. So hopefully this didn't frighten you off. Hopefully it explained it a little bit and put it into a bit more perspective. What is this thing called the DP? How big is it? How do I go about making it more understandable? Okay, so that's my presentation done. And if you would like to ask me questions, I will do what I can to answer them now. But if I can't, then I will get back to you later this week by email.
Richard, questions on selection of subjects.
Yes.
You got the high level, you have HL and you have SL.
Yep.
Do you have a certain cluster, because you've got 1 to 6, right? So you have to pick from which cluster that is a HL and where you can pick an SL.
That doesn't matter. That's there's an awful lot of room for maneuver. So you've got to pick 3 HLs. You've got to pick 3 standard levels. It is possible to pick 4 HLs, but I don't particularly want to get caught up in that particular conversation at the moment. If that's something that you want to talk about, we can do that later. But no, this is about student choice. It's about reflecting where the student sees themselves going in terms of study. So
you don't have to take HL in 1 science, 1 math, and 1 language.
No.
Is it compulsory that you take an HL in one of these?
No. Simple answer, right?
So you can take an SL, or you also can opt not to take math. Can you do that?
No, you've got to take a maths because they're the only subjects in group 5. Maths is group 5. There's nothing else in there.
So you have to take 1 subject from each group.
Correct.
Out of 6 groups, you take 1 subject from each group. You can you can decide whether you want to take an HL or SL.
Yes, and within some groups there are more options than other groups. So language A, there's a couple of different languages you can choose from. Language B, there's a couple of different languages. In group 3, there are 3 different subjects: ITGS, Econ, Psychology. Yeah. Maths is a bit of a dictator. You have to take maths because there's only maths in group 5, I'm afraid.
Yeah, and how many subjects must you take out of the 6 groups?
6. You take 6 subjects.
6 subjects.
Yeah.
So you
So
can't
this is
take two subjects from from a group, because if you're six, you have to take one of each. That's six.
right, but there is the bilingual diploma option where you can take 2 language A's. But what that means is
Only in language.
2 language A's. So, for example, you might do English A, which is language and literature, and then you might add, for example, if you're from Korea, you might add Korean standard level literature. That's a self-study one. Well, that would mean that you wouldn't take a language B.
Yeah, if you take, you have to take English, right? You can take English either HL or SL, right?
You had to take a first language and a second language.
Yeah, you have to take English and you take a second language. Let's say you take Indonesian as a second language. That's not bilingual, is it?
No, bilingual. Honestly, if you just wait to download and read from the subject, because it's not an easy process to understand or to explain again. I would have to read it out to you.
Okay. So I think I need to read it, download and read it again. There's so much information in it.
Yeah, because it's a complex beast. But you have to pick a language A and a language from language A and a language from group 2, which is language B, unless you're taking the bilingual option.
Okay.
But if that is something you're interested in, again, I would say that we would have a conversation about the best way to make up those 6 subjects if what you want to do is go for a bilingual diploma. There's a hand up. Elena.
So what if worst case scenario, we don't get above 24 points? Is there an alternative to go to university?
Right, so what happens, so the 24 points is one of the conditions to be awarded the full diploma. What that doesn't tell you, though, is whether or not you have passed all of your individual subjects. So universities will usually, if they're interested in the IB diploma, which most non-US countries are, and they understand what the diploma numbers mean, most of them do want you to have the full diploma, and they have a minimum number of points. Okay, the United States of America isn't that bothered about the full diploma. What they want is a high school diploma, and they're interested in your high school career. They're interested in looking at all of the extras that you've done. They're interested in your letter of application. It's really very, very different. Now, I'm not trying to avoid answering your questions. You will still have your certificates of the courses where you passed. Unfortunately, it is possible to not get the full diploma because of TOK, EE, and CAS, so the core, which is a really awful situation to be in. It doesn't happen very often. I've only seen it happen once, and then it was remarked and they passed. But yeah, it's best not to flirt with the idea of 24, less than 24. What else to say about that? In Australia, I believe, or am I thinking New Zealand? I think in New Zealand, there's a general rule about getting 26 points and you're in. So 26 points, if you think about it, you get your 4s, you get your 3s. So what have you got? 4, 8, 12, 21. So you want to be getting all 4s and your 3 points for the core and you could get in a good university in Australia. So does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
So I would start thinking 26 and up. That's what I would do. Let me see. Do we have any more hands up? Okay. The one thing I suppose, Elena, to really think about here is how you can manage proactive conversations with your teachers so that you always know at any given point how you can get to that next grade boundary. Because within any subject, looking at the different components, because all subjects have different components, you know, you can be a long way from the next step up, or you can be very close. And the feedback that you get about the different units and assignments, skills and processes is absolutely vital. It's absolutely vital that you ask for feedback, get feedback. How do I improve this grade? How do I get better at understanding this process? Because I want to go there, I want to do that, this is my target. So that's why we start these conversations now. Okay. All right, well, it is nearly 6 o'clock on a Wednesday evening. So unless there are any more hands up, I don't see any. Rest assured, this isn't the end of the conversation. This is the beginning of the conversation. Very, very happy to take any emails, any questions, and I will be getting into advisory with the year 11s so that they understand 100% about the preferences that they are going to be putting down on paper. Okay. So thank you very much for attending. And look out for an email with a link to the Dropbox. And I look forward to working. Is that another hand up? No, I don't think so. So let me double check. Yes, Rico, hand up.
Yeah, I think, thank you for the explanation, Dewey, how the student to fill out all the form in order for them to get the diploma programs. So I think it's quite challenging for us as parents to understand how the subjects that will be chosen by them. So I think we need time to understand about kind of subjects to make sure that they can get all of the minimum boundaries grade that can be entitled for them to get the diploma. So if there is any question from us, who do we can contact in the ACG? That's you.
That's me, 100% me. I'm the IB Diploma Coordinator, amongst other things. But yeah, you're right. It's a really good point. It's a big thing, the IB Diploma, and it is difficult to understand all in one go, which is why we start the conversation now, and why the preferences process is quite protracted. It starts now and it ends in April.
All right, I got it.
Okay, good.
Thank you so much, Richard.
All right, you're welcome. Have a lovely Wednesday evening, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.